Look at your last grocery receipt, the meat counter line. Whatever that number was, it was higher than it has been in your entire life. Ground beef just crossed $6.70 a pound nationally. Steaks hit a record $13.02 a pound. That is not a glitch. That is not seasonal. That is the smallest American cattle herd in 75 years, 86 million head, the lowest since 1951. The breeding cows that make future calves sit at the lowest level since 1961. And here's the part nobody at the store will tell you. 9 foods are quietly thinning out on the shelves you walk past every weekend. The cookout shelves, the grill shelves, not gone overnight. That is not how it works. They get harder to find. The good cuts vanish first. The cheap brands disappear. Then one day the gap is just there. Smart preppers already noticed. They are buying these 9 before the gap arrives. Today I show you exactly which 9, why they are vanishing, and the dollar solution for each one. Welcome to the Survival Research. If you are not subscribed yet, hit subscribe and the bell. This is where we open the shelves the food industry would rather you never looked behind. Stay with me, because the first one is already sitting in your cart at double the price. Number 1, ground beef and burgers. The backbone of every cookout in this country. $6.70 a pound and climbing. Up 72% since 2020. The fastest grocery inflation of any single item while everything else cooled off. The cause is not greed at the register. It is biology. You cannot grow a cow in a month. Years of drought forced ranchers to sell off breeding females, and that decision echoes for a decade. The Mexican border closed to live cattle in 2025 because of a parasitic fly called the New World screwworm. That cut off more than 1 million imported feeder cattle a year, effectively zero for 2026. So what do the preppers do? They buy the cheaper cuts now and grind their own. A whole chuck roast costs less per pound than pre-ground beef, and a basic grinder pays for itself in 3 cookouts. They also pressure can ground beef bought on sale. Properly canned, it stays shelf-stable for years. No freezer, no power. Stop for a second. Because this is bigger than one shelf. 9 foods, 9 specific items disappearing from the cookout aisle, each with an exact reason and an exact fix. Which cuts to buy before the good ones vanish, the $2 pantry swaps that replace the items getting pulled, the storage method that makes a sale price last 3 years. It is all in the suppressed file, step by step. The product names, where to buy them, what each one costs, down to the cent. Scan the QR code on your screen or hit the first link in the description and get it now. Let me keep going, because number 2 is the one most people never see coming. Number 2, coffee. Yes, coffee belongs at the cookout, and it is getting hammered. Coffee bean prices already spiked 70% in 1 year on tight global supply. Then a 50% tariff landed on Brazil, the largest coffee exporter on earth. The United States buys roughly 1/3 of all coffee Brazil produces. When the largest supplier gets a 50% wall, the price does not nudge. It jumps. The fix the preppers already use. Buy green unroasted beans in bulk and roast small batches at home in a cast iron skillet. Green beans store for years without going stale. Roasted beans go flat in weeks. A pound of green beans costs a fraction of roasted, and the skillet you already own does the roasting. Still watching. Then you already understand something most shoppers refuse to see. The shelf does not warn you. The price tag does. And by the time the tag screams, the cheap version is already gone. This is the file the food supply industry hates because it hands you the swap before the shortage hits. Scan the QR code on your screen or hit the first link in the description and get it now. Now back to the list, because the next one sits on every holiday table you set. Number 3, orange juice. The breakfast drink that sits on every holiday table. More than half the orange juice sold in this country comes from Brazil, hit by that same 50% tariff. On top of that, the American orange harvest fell to an 88-year low because of citrus greening disease and freezes. Orange juice futures jumped as the market braced for a supply squeeze. Global production is forecast to fall more than 13% in the coming season, with Brazil accounting for most of the drop. February of 2026 brought some of the coldest temperatures in Florida history. The freeze gutted an already struggling citrus crop, and a tree does not recover in one season. The fix: buy frozen concentrate now, which stores far longer than the carton and survives in any freezer. Or skip the squeeze entirely and store vitamin C as cheap, shelf-stable tablets. A bottle costs under $4 and outlasts any juice on the shelf. Number 4, canned tomatoes, ketchup, and barbecue sauce, the base of every cookout condiment you own. The food inside is not the problem. The can is. A 50% tariff on imported steel hit the tin plate that nearly every can is made from. The United States lost 9 of its 12 tin plate production lines since 2018. There's no domestic supply to fall back on. The tin can is roughly 1/3 of the wholesale cost of canned tomatoes. Canned fruits and vegetables already cost almost 6% more in a single year. nearly 3 times faster than the rest of your grocery bill. Manufacturers have warned of more hikes hitting shelves through 2027. The fix: buy glass jarred sauces and tomatoes instead of cans, since glass dodges the steel tariff entirely. Or make your own sauce from bulk tomato paste, which stores for years in a small tube and costs a fraction per serving. Number 5, cooking and grilling oil. The thing you brush on everything before it ever touches the grate. Canola and seed oils are caught in the same tariff and packaging squeeze, and many imported specialty oils are climbing fast. Some makers have warned they may switch packaging entirely as input costs rise. The fix: buy in the largest container available and split it into smaller airtight jars to slow oxidation. Store it cool and dark, away from the stove. Bulk oil costs roughly a third less per ounce than the small bottles. Number 6, citrus and fresh produce for sides. Lemons, limes, the brightness in every marinade and slaw. The same Florida freeze and the same Mexican import problems that hit oranges hit the whole citrus and winter vegetable category. Asian vegetables, callaloo, and pumpkin leaf took catastrophic losses in that freeze. The fix: bottled lemon and lime juice stores for a year and costs a fraction of fresh when fresh is scarce. Stock it now before the produce section thins out heading into winter. Number 7, cauliflower and crucifer vegetables. The low-carb grill side that exploded in demand over the last few years. California grows 90% of the nation's cauliflower, and prices swung 230% in a single year on frost and heavy rain. The plant hates temperature swings, and the weather has stopped cooperating. Growers are testing hardier varieties and revised planting schedules, but those are future fixes. The shortage is here now. The fix: buy frozen cauliflower, which is picked at peak and stores for months. The frozen aisle is insulated from the fresh produce shortage the preppers already see coming. Number 8, dairy and cottage cheese. The protein side dish quietly running short. A sudden surge in demand left cottage cheese producers unable to keep up, and you cannot build a new dairy plant in a few months. The shortage will not resolve overnight, and prices keep climbing. The fix: buy shelf-stable dairy now. Powdered milk and canned cheese store for years without a refrigerator. Or make your own cottage cheese from a gallon of regular milk for a fraction of the carton price. Number 9, canned beans and the cheap protein backbone. The side that stretches every cookout for pennies. Refried beans and many canned beans are imported, and tariffs reaching as high as 145% on some sources are pushing prices up while supply tightens. The fix: buy dried beans in bulk. They cost a fraction of canned, store for a decade in a sealed bucket, and dodge the can and the tariff completely. One bag replaces a dozen cans and feeds a crowd. Now let me connect all 9, because this is the pattern smart preppers already see. Every single item on this list follows the same logic. A cookout staple. A real documented reason it is thinning out. And a swap that costs $1 or $2 in stores for years. Beef, coffee, juice, condiments, oil, citrus, cauliflower, dairy, beans. None of them are gone today. All of them are getting harder to find and more expensive by the month. Notice what ties them together. Tariffs on steel and on imports, a border closed to cattle, droughts and freezes that no planting schedule can outrun. None of it reverses in a single season. The people who win are not the ones who panic when the shelf is empty. They are the ones who quietly swapped and stored while the shelf was still full. That is the whole difference. Not a bunker. Not $10,000 of gear. A few dollars per item and a little space in the pantry. Let me be honest about what this is and what it is not. This is not hoarding. This is not fear. These swaps will not feed you through a decade. They will not replace a real food plan, and they will not replace fresh food while fresh food is still cheap. What they replace is the moment you reach for a cookout staple and find a gap and a tripled price. That moment is already arriving for the people who waited. You have 2 choices. You keep paying record prices and gambling that the shelf stays stocked, or you spend a few dollars now on the swaps and the storage, and the gap never touches you. The shelves are already thinning, quietly. The smart ones noticed first. Now you have noticed too. The exact storage methods, the shelf life of every swap, and the 3 items I could not fit in this video are pinned in the first comment and laid out in the suppressed file. Which beans store longest? How to pressure can beef safely? The vitamin C math that replaces a winter of juice. The shelf will not warn you. This file does. If this opened your eyes, subscribe and hit the bell and share it with someone who still thinks the shelf will always be full. Every share preserves what they would rather you forget. The next file opens soon, and what is inside weighs even heavier. The shelves are thinning whether you act or not. The only question is whether you move while they are still full, or wait until the gap is staring back at you. What your grandparents knew, what they never told you. The information was always there. Now you have it. The shelf stays quiet right up until the day it goes empty. Do not let that day be the first time you act.